Residenz Ansbach, also known as Markgrafenschloß, is a palace in Ansbach, Germany. It was the government seat of the Margrave of Brandenburg-Ansbach. Today it is the administrative seat of the government of Middle Franconia. The Great Hall and the Orangerie in its garden serve as venues for the biennial music festival Bachwoche Ansbach. History. The palace was developed from a medieval building. From 1398 to 1400, Frederick I, Elector of Brandenburg, expanded a Stiftshof outside the city walls to a water castle. Structural remains are preserved in the northwest wing of the present building. George Frederick, Margrave of Brandenburg-Ansbach, ordered the Swabian architect Blasius Berwet to build the palace. It was erected in Renaissance style from 1565 to 1575. A large hall was built from 1565 to 1575, now called the Gothische Halle because of its ribbed wall. It now houses the largest collection of faience and porcelain of the former Ansbach manufacture. A century later, the major construction was done by Gabriel de Gabrieli, by Carl Friedrich von Zocher, and by Leopold Reti. Between 1705 and 1738 the building was changed to its present form. Architecture. Gabriel de Gabrieli created before 1709 the southeast wing with the main facade in a style similar to Viennese Baroque. The interior dates from 1734 to 1745 under architect Leopoldo Reti. Carlo Carlone created a fresco on the ceiling of the facade. Meissen porcelain is shown in the Spiegel cabinet. The interior of the palace has a hall of mirrors with French Rococo features. The Great Hall was provided with painted ceiling and the rooms were fitted with Ansbach porcelain tiles of 18th century vintage. It had a garden that was laid out in the 16th century and modified in the 18th century with an orangery. The castle has richly furnished staterooms on the first floor. In 1791, Karl August von Hardenberg, Prussia's representative in Ansbach, added boardrooms and a library. From 1806, once the Royal Bavarian government of Residenz started functioning in Ansbach, the castle's first-floor rooms were converted into offices while the rooms on other floors remained unchanged. Between 1962 and 1974, the last major renovations to the castle were completed. The Bavarian administration of state-owned palaces, gardens and lakes is in charge of the buildings and the museum. Orangerie and garden. A garden was first mentioned in the 16th century in the herbal accounts of Leonhard Fuchs. Between 1723 and 1750, it was designed as a Baroque garden. Severely damaged during World War II, it was reconstructed after the war, including an herb garden with many medicinal plants and a house to keep potted plants in winter. Chief architect Carl Friedrich von Zocher created an orangerie as an architectural center of the gardens. It was begun in 1726, but seems to have been incomplete when Frederick the Great visited in September 1743. On the 14th of December 1833, Caspar Hauser suffered a fatal stab wound in the backyard garden. At the site a small Gothic pillar is engraved HICOCCULTUSOCCULTOOCCISUSS. Not far away, in 1825 a monument to the poet Johann Peter Uzed was Ansbach built with a bronze bust by Carl Alexander Heideloff. The inscription on the stele-like pedestal reads, "The wise, the poet, the people's friend," from his admirers. The Orangerie and its courtyard host the annual Rococo Festival, showing life in the court at the time of Margrave Karl Wilhelm Friedrich von Brandenburg-Ansbach.